Given that marketing research is a technique that most companies have been using for the past 60 years, it is a fairly established process that involves 5 main steps. It would be beneficial to learn more about each of these steps, as this would allow us to understand how large firms perform it in practice. Let's describe these steps. Step number 1. Defining the problem that must be examined and the research objectives. Step number 2 involves developing a research plan. The next step is to collect information that would allow us to solve the problem. Step number 4 comprises analyzing the information we've obtained in step number 3. And finally, the 5th step is about making conclusions and presenting the findings of our analysis. A practical example would help us understand what's being done in each of these steps. Imagine you're one of the decision makers in Tesla. So far, the company has introduced 3 very successful vehicles: Roadster, Model S, and Model X. Each of these cars costs more than $70,000, which is a fairly high price. Tesla plans to create a mass-market car. Model 3 will be sold for approximately $30,000. This is a different ballgame, isn't it? The people buying $30,000 cars differ from the ones buying $70,000 vehicles. Therefore, you know the company must carry out careful marketing research to understand the needs of people in the market for a $30,000 car. What type of car do they have in mind? Do they have different preferences about design? What characteristics are important to these clients? It is obvious the $30,000 car won't be as good as the $70,000 car. If you're wondering how big the difference will be in this case, so far Tesla has announced the Model 3 will have less power, less range, and only 1 computer screen in the center of the dashboard, as opposed to 2 in previous models. So you have to make compromises, and careful marketing research would usually indicate the areas that are more important to a group of clients. However, the first order of business for you would be to define the questions you need answered. You can approach consultants who will execute the marketing research for your company and tell them to learn as much as possible about mid-class individuals interested in purchasing an electric vehicle, but this will cause a lot of unnecessary information. On the other hand, if you provide them with a list of characteristics you want investigated, for example, price, battery endurance, safety, maximum speed, average consumption, design, and ask people to rate these characteristics and provide some input about their importance, then it is much more likely the marketing research would reveal the answers you're looking for. And as any management consultant would advise you, you can have all the data you wish, but it is necessary to find the balance between the cheapest, fastest, and most effective way to answer the research question at hand. We can conclude the most important thing at this initial stage is to define the right questions you need answered. Right, and that's step number 1. In the next phase, you need to think of how the data will be collected. Do you think you will have to conduct research from scratch and collect new data, which is also called primary data? Are you going to use data that's been obtained from Tesla's existing customers and previous marketing research, or what we call secondary data? Gathering primary data is much more expensive. However, secondary data is not always suitable for answering our questions. That's valid in this case. Tesla does not have data for customers willing to spend up to $30,000 for a new car, so researchers must find a way to collect primary data. You, as a marketing manager, must define how the data will be collected. Usually, different methods represent a trade-off between cost efficiency and effectiveness. We'll learn more about the different ways to collect data in our next lesson, as this is a broader topic. Anyway, once you've decided which questions will be asked and how you will collect the data, it's time to move forward and collect the data as planned. Experienced marketing managers can contribute significantly in this phase. They know how to deal with respondents who are unwilling to answer, people not at home, and the ones providing false survey answers. This is step number 3 in our process. In the next phase, we can use the information collected and perform analyses. This is usually done with the help of statisticians experienced in regression analysis, discriminant analysis, factor analysis, cluster analysis, and other data analysis techniques. The idea is to use the data to find patterns and isolate clear messages. Once we've done that, we can use these findings to prepare a well-written document that conveys these messages and defines clear points of action that can be approved by top-level decision makers. And that's the final fifth step. As anticipated, in our next video, we'll talk about the different ways we can collect marketing information from consumers. Thanks for watching.